Welcome to this yoga stretch for your rest day or recovery day. This is a really leg-focused stretch, really great if you've been lifting a lot of weights or running or cycling or really doing anything at all that's brought tension or tiredness into your legs. You don't have to have any props for this practice, though it can be useful, especially if you're on the tighter side, to have a blanket and a couple of blocks. If you don't have yoga blocks, you could use some books or even have a chair nearby to hold on to when we fold. So we're going to get started straight away in a tabletop pose. So it's coming up onto all fours. And I mentioned a blanket before. You can use it right now if you like to go under the knees if you don't like the pressure of knees directly on the floor. Place your shoulders right over your wrists, your hips right over your knees. And when you're ready, start to regulate your breath in some cats and cows. So belly down, lift your tailbone up, breathe in, and lift your head up. When you exhale, scoop the tailbone down, lift the middle back to the ceiling, and tuck your chin to your chest. Inhale, pull the chest through again, tailbone lifts, belly down. Exhale and round. And just keep flowing between these two positions, really focusing on the mobility of your pelvis, the ability to anteriorly and posteriorly tilt your pelvis. Inhale and arch. Exhale, push through the arms. And now last one. And you can come back to neutral. Walk your hands forwards, 2 or 3 inches perhaps. Take your fingers as wide as your mat. Tuck your toes. Let's come up into downward facing dog. As you lift your hips up and back, elevate your shoulder blades, get the strength in there in your arms, but soften your knees. And start to pedal one heel towards the floor and then the other. So just one leg straightening and the opposite knee bending. And feel how the hips move to help you do this, how you might feel stretches through the calves and hamstrings. It's okay if your heel doesn't touch the floor. Just warming up gently. One more breath with this pedaling movement, this easy, fluid movement side to side. And then find some stillness. Heels can be up, knees perhaps a bit bent. Keep the elevation in your shoulder blades, the hips lifting really high, and then gently start to sink through both heels simultaneously without worrying whether they touch the ground or not. And through your next exhale, walk up to your hands. If you were using a blanket, you can leave it where it is and just step over it. When you get to the front of your mat, do a halfway lift, hands up to thighs. Squeeze your shoulder blades together, get really long in your back, really straight feeling. And tilt your pelvis forwards, like in that cat and cow, into a forward fold. If your hands don't comfortably touch the ground, reach for your blocks, your books, or your chair. And so that you can have some support under your hands, keeping the spine in a pretty straight feeling rather than rounded forwards, so you can keep all of the stretch in your legs. I'll just take a few deep breaths here. So there's no need to force the pose, to strive for anything. Find an edge of sensation and then breathe into it. Feel the exhales gently drawing you into the pose. And perhaps the inhales just lessen it a little bit, lessen the intensity, bring some space into the spine. And the exhales deepen. Lovely.
Do a halfway lift again just to come up and out of that intensity. The hands down to the floor or your blocks. Step your right foot back. Lower your right knee back down onto the floor or onto your blanket. And let the hips move forwards and down into a lunge. So your hands can be on blocks as mine are. They can also be on the floor here too. Sinking forwards and down to stretch in the right hip flexor, but also to experience deep compression through the left hip here. So you're benefiting from both the extension and compression. Now, if your hands are on blocks, that may be extra useful. And for the next pose, as we shift back into a half split, so it's right hip directly over your knee and left leg fully straight, bringing the top of the foot back towards your chest. If you feel your back rounding, take your blocks or anything you can do under your hands till you can come high enough so that you feel all the sensation in your leg and not in your back. We're going to go in and out of those two positions. So if you've got blocks, they'll walk with you. You come forwards as you inhale, hips down. Exhale, half split, bowing down. Remember, you can use your blocks on any height, forwards and down, inhale. Exhale back. And again, forwards and down. Exhale back. And again. Hips back, exhale. Doing good, yogi. Inhale, forwards and down. We'll just pause here for a couple of extra breaths. Perhaps give your right glute an extra squeeze. Your right glute's an extra squeeze to release the right hip flexor. If you're feeling super tight, super tense, perhaps bring an intention to soften into those edges rather than to feel resistance or fighting them. And let's give the half split a few extra breaths too. So walk your hands until they're right under your shoulders, whether they're on the floor, whether they're high up on your blocks or on your middle blocks. And bring your right shoulder towards your left little toe and your left little toe towards your right shoulder. And breathe. And we'll shift forwards. If you're using your blocks, just put them to the side because they'll be useful as we come into the second side. Tuck your right toes and lift your right knee up. Plant your hands flat. You might need to walk your left foot out to the side to give you some room for this. And you're going to lift up into a three-legged dog. So left foot to the sky, downward facing dog. And bend your left knee up over the top there, stretching through the left hip now. Reaching the left knee and foot as far away from your left hand as you can. Well, stretch it out and slide your left knee forwards to the left wrist. Kick your left foot across you into pigeon pose. Walk your right foot back. So as it turned out, my blanket's ended up in a really nice position here for me today, but you can move your blanket out of the way if it felt like it was hindering you in some way or getting in the way of your pose. I'll sit up nice and tall here. You're welcome to take any position of pigeon. If you'd like a slightly deeper glute stretch, you might in fact come down to your forearms. You can go almost fully flat in this pose. Keeping your hips quite square to the mat. So if your hips are up away from the floor a bit, resist the urge to just lean over to the left. See whether you can keep it square, but at all points feeling okay in the left knee. If you feel any twisting or discomfort in the left knee, step your left foot forwards into a lizard pose, perhaps instead. I'll just take another breath or so here. Relax as best you can through the hips. Now, if you have been weight training, this may be mean, so I apologize in advance. But if you'd like to, you can come up to your hands if you're
down on your forearms. You can try picking up the right foot and reaching around for it with your left hand. You can reach around with your right hand also. It doesn't matter which one you choose. And come into an additional quad stretch. If that feels just too much today, if it's too tight or just too sensitive, you could remain in an upright pigeon, because that's in this position, already stretching through the front of that right leg. So pick the one that's most appropriate for how you feel. Take a deep breath. Relax your shoulders. And release your right foot if you did take it. Now we will slouch to the left and sweep your right foot all the way around. Now it can land right in front of your left shin, or you can land to the outside of your left leg, so all the way up over the top there for Lord of the Fishes. Your left hand can come around your right knee, maybe even the elbow is fine as well, and start to twist. Now you're benefiting here from a spinal twist, but also I encourage you to explore pulling that right knee in towards your left collarbone. Giving a really lovely squeeze in there to actually focus just as much on that right glute stretch as you are on the twist. Wonderful. Unwind yourself. Place the right foot back and just in front of its hip. Use your left hand and your right foot to stand up. Lift the left leg off the floor, stretch it back and all the way to the back of your mat. Lower your left knee down onto the ground. You end up in a lunge, now with your right foot forwards and your left knee back. Perhaps you want your blocks again if you're using them. Settle into this first one, just a breath or so while you check in. Make sure you feel good about your placement of your feet and your knees. And we'll check in with our half split too. Right leg stretches out fully straight. Walk your hands until they're just under your shoulders and bring the top of a foot towards your shin. Okay, let's go in and out of those two positions a few times. Shift forwards and down on your breath in. Linger there for a moment. Exhale, shift it back into a half split. Forwards into low lunge. Deep breath in. Exhale it back, half split. Keep on between those two positions a couple more times. Just gently encouraging tightness to loosen up. So the next time you arrive in a low lunge, we'll hold it a little longer. You can be on high blocks, middle blocks, low blocks, or on the floor with your hands. Give your left glutes a little extra squeeze if you wish to release from the left hip flexor more. Notice any tendency to push or to force. And find this moderate intensity. Softening around the edges. And shift it back into a half split. So keeping your back straight feeling, neutral feeling. As you bow down, bring the top of your foot towards your shin. You can have your hands at any height again. And bring your left shoulder towards your right little toe and your right little toe towards your left shoulder. Continue to breathe. If you're tensing up your shoulders, even though you might have some support in them for the hands and the arms, they can still feel spacious and strong without tension. Same with your neck.
Slide forwards into your lunge. Move your props out of the way. Plant your hands down. Pick up your back knee. You might go from here to three-legged dog, or you might wiggle your right foot out towards the outside of your mat to give you some room for it. And lift your right foot up into your downward facing dog, right foot to the sky. Bend your knee, open up your hip. Stretch out through the right toes, reach them away from you. Keep your right hand planted. And we'll slide your right knee forwards to your right wrist and kick your foot across you for pigeon pose. Walk your left leg back. Find a comfortable pigeon. Notice if you have some tension, you can support yourself with your blanket. It's okay if your hips are up a bit, as long as your knee doesn't feel any tension. A reminder, if it doesn't feel great in your knee, step your foot to the outside instead for lizard pose. And you're sinking equally through both hips. You can come down to your forearms if that feels good. Just to take it a little bit deeper into the right hip. You can stay at the height that you're at, or you can take that little extra quad stretch, bend your left knee, reach around with your right hand, or your left hand, either one works. Take a few deep breaths there. If you did take your foot, let it go all the way down to the ground. Come up to your hands if you're still in sleeping pigeon, and roll onto your right hip. Slide your left foot around in front of you. You can put your foot to the shin side, or if it's possible, pick it up and take it all the way to the outside of your right leg. Sit up tall and wrap your right hand or elbow around your left knee as you turn to the left. Just like we did on the other side, you're here, you have a benefit of your twist in your spine, but also hug your left knee in towards your right collarbone and towards the right chest, just to get that little bit extra stretch in the left hip. And carefully unwind. We'll take your left foot in front of the right shin. We'll come up like we did before, as if we're going to come all the way to standing, but step your right foot back, left foot back, downward facing dog. Lift the tailbone up, sink both heels. The shoulders are still lifted. One full breath here. And lower your knees down. Sit back onto your feet, or take a seat on the ground if you like, if that's more comfortable to sit cross-legged. Bring your hands to a prayer position in front of you. Take a moment to thank yourself for coming to your mat. And let's breathe in together and out together. Thank you for joining me. Namaste. To keep up to date with new Paradigm Yoga videos, please remember to subscribe. Thank you.